10's Late News with Deborah Knight.
Tonight, callous killers. 2 robbers leave a man to die despite getting what they wanted. Hundreds of fans join family and celebrities to support Michael Jackson. And Perth's Danny Green grabs the World Boxing Council's super middleweight title. Good evening. Also tonight, Australian forces help seize million-dollar drug shipments from Al-Qaeda. Western powers taken aback by just how close Libya was to a sophisticated weapons arsenal. And losing a life very early in the piece, one lucky feline plucked from a watery grave. First, another senseless killing in Sydney. A service station attendant stabbed in the back in a frenzied attack after being robbed of just a few $100s.
Another deadly attack on a service station operator robbed for the contents of the till, thought to be less than $400. Jeffrey Jin was a Chinese immigrant trying to make a living by working weekends while studying for a PhD in chemistry. Described as a gentle family man, he was doing overtime at the busy service station when 2 men burst in, armed with a large knife.
They're wearing hoods and dark clothing, and that's really all we can say from the video footage. It's very difficult to identify these people at this stage.
His family mourning the tragic loss.
My dad was very gentle. He was a very family man. He was very defensive. He always worked very hard. He was very devoted to his family.
The killing was senseless, the knife attack savage and frenzied. It came after the victim had already handed over the money. The unconscious attendant found slumped behind the counter, bleeding heavily from 4 deep stab wounds to his back. The customer who discovered the crime saw nothing. Police performed CPR to try and save the man, but he died in hospital.
A scuffle takes place. The person working in the service station is totally compliant, totally innocent, and is stabbed totally without any thought whatsoever.
Mr. Jin had been robbed before. He told his son he would always just hand over the money, but it's taken his death for the service station owners to decide to upgrade security. Police have little to go on and are appealing for help from anyone who saw the killer's strike. John Hill, 10 News.
The Christmas road toll has climbed to 16 with the deaths of 2 people in the Northern Territory, a bike rider in Perth and 2 women in Queensland this weekend. In one accident, a woman lost control of her car before it plunged over a cliff north of Brisbane. The vehicle was found in trees near a quiet back road running through Mount Glorious. Investigators are still unsure how long it had been there.
The woman appears to be in her 50s, is a local to the area, and she would have travelled this road many times, so unfortunately until the police look into it we can't ascertain at this stage how the accident happened.
Fire crews had to be winched down to the wreck to recover the woman's body. And in Perth, a 33-year-old man is fighting for his life after a high-speed motorbike crash. Investigators say he lost control of his high-powered Kawasaki and hit a curb before slamming into a bus shelter and a rubbish bin. He's believed to be in a critical condition with multiple bone fractures, punctured lungs and head injuries. They say the man left a nearby pool hall just minutes before the crash. A bizarre supporters party for Michael Jackson at his Neverland ranch. Family and friends were joined by hundreds of celebrities and fans protesting the innocence of the music star, fighting charges of child molesting.
They were under strict instructions not to call it a party, but all stops were pulled out to ensure Neverland was at its festive and bizarre best.
Well, we're just expecting love, support and faith and belief in Michael.
Just 2 days after he was charged with sexually abusing a young boy, 600 guests massed at the sprawling home, including rapper MC Hammer, tennis star Serena Williams, Jackson's parents Catherine and Joe, and famous siblings LaToya and Jermaine.
This isn't a party, so to speak. You know, normally a party is ha ha ha, you know. This isn't what this is all about.
Those without an invite held their own party.
We're like, okay, that's it. Get the signs going. Let's roll out. Let's go down.
Guests say the 45-year-old was full of emotion. They ate chicken and were entertained with a song from his brother Jermaine.
See any animals?
See, we saw elephants.
The entire family was there, the Jackson family.
Then there were the up-and-coming artists who were quick to make the most of the media attention.
I'm Raspberry from the singing group B2K.
I'm a big supporter of Michael.
Those who couldn't make it to Northwest California offered support via the internet. The former King of Pop, who has denied the charges, posting a message of thanks. Jackson plans to travel to London despite attempts by British MPs to keep him out. He must return to the US for his first court appearance on January 16. Martine Griffiths, 10 News.
Darwin has escaped the fury of Cyclone Debbie, the Category 3 storm fizzing into a rain depression as it moved over Cape Hotham towards the city. It's now heading further inland, bringing heavy rain but without its gale-forced winds. In Adelaide, emergency crews have been kept busy after a series of storms flooded more than a dozen properties across the city. Among them this suburban shopping centre, inundated after water built up on the roof, then burst in through the ceiling. A number of major roads were also closed when stormwater drains were unable to cope with the runoff from the heavy rain. The Royal Australian Air Force has helped American forces seize multi-million-dollar drug shipments in the Middle East. Officers aboard a US warship boarded an Arab sailing boat in the North Arabian Sea, seizing 2 tons of hashish with a street value of more than $10 million. Navy officials say the crew threw almost 200 bags of suspected drugs overboard just before it was raided. The interception came after Australian aircraft tracked the vessel for more than 2 days. The US Navy says the drug run was an Al-Qaeda smuggling operation. Western elation at Libya's decision to give up its weapons of mass destruction has been soured. There's growing alarm at just how far the rogue state had developed, well beyond any suggestions the West had of its capabilities.
Isolated and despised for its sponsorship of terror, little was known about Libya's weapons capabilities. Now it's come clean with the terrifying truth. The West was aware of 3 nuclear and chemical plants, but 10 other nuclear sites have now been revealed. Colonel Gaddafi is admitting to chemical and biological programs and nuclear development far more advanced than first thought.
Well, we'd like to know what they have. They talk about components. Maybe they are exaggerating it a bit.
Former Chief Weapons Inspector Hans Blix applauds the move and thinks he knows what's behind it.
I can only speculate, but I would imagine that Gaddafi could have been scared by what he saw happened in Iraq.
A far cry from the pathetic figure of the captured Saddam Hussein, Colonel Gaddafi is now being hailed a statesman.
This is an announcement of truly historic proportions, and the world has taken a major step towards being a more peaceful place as a result.
Libyan officials are already in Vienna holding talks on how to dismantle the weapons of mass destruction. Catherine Philp, 10 News.
Australia's Danny Green is boxing's new interim WBC super middleweight champion after defeating Canadian Eric Luca in Montreal. The boy from Perth had his dad and brother by his side as he entered the ring, the rest of his family gathering with friends at a local pub to spur on their hometown hero. The pressure at times too much for his mother, Maria. The 6th round technical knockout was greeted with wild celebrations.
Excited. I'm so proud of him. I'm so very proud.
A full report on Green's victory later in Sports Tonight. But still to come in 10's Late News, a new Australian charity already making its mark in helping Vietnam. And Christmas heartbreak. Fire destroys hundreds of toys on lay-by. With 10's Late News. A dramatic rescue near Brisbane early today after a man was trapped inside a burning house. The fire was spotted by an off-duty paramedic who tried to brave the flames and get inside after hearing cries for help.
They had to withdraw, wait for further assistance from Queensland Fire and Rescue, and as a joint effort then extricated the male who had approximately 80% burns to his body.
It's believed the man was a squatter in the vacant house, which was destroyed in the blaze. A new Australian charity has been launched to help communities in Vietnam. Its first success, a burns victim brought to Australia for life-changing surgery.
17-year-old T was severely disfigured when an alcohol burner fell on her lap 3 years ago. But thanks to the generosity of WA's Australian of the Year finalist Dr. Fiona Wood, who will operate on T's scars free of charge, she'll soon be feeling on top of the world.
And when you see the photographs and know that you can help, it's just then a question of, OK, well, I'm sure people are out there that are willing to support this.
A new not-for-profit organisation called Connecting Communities Vietnam sponsored T's trip to Australia. The group aims to raise funds to help children like T overcome their medical problems.
If the operation can be done well in Vietnam, we'll fund it there. If it can't, then we'll bring the child to Australia.
Various projects are also underway to improve the lives of some of the impoverished Vietnamese people, building a school and houses in the northern Binh Phuoc province to give poor children a chance at an education.
We want the Vietnamese people to do the building and the Vietnamese people to do the teaching. We're just there